Morning, traders. Welcome to the pre-market analysis that we open up to the Monday, or sorry, open up on Wednesday every single week to YouTube. Thanks for joining us this morning. Going to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown on what's going to happen today. Basically, once I'm done speaking, Beth's going to come on, give you a breakdown of what's going on from a macro perspective today. Look at the bigger picture items that make sense to be looking at, big caps, etc., ETFs, commodities. After that's done, I'm going to come on. We're going to be going through the names that are gapping up, gapping down that we're looking at today. We'll build an action plan for those names. Take a look at the technicals, as well as go through the SPY, the FANG, the Qs, IWM, and the VIX. After that's done, I'll pass over to South Beach. He'll go through the macro environment from his perspective, basically what he's looking at from an analyst point of view as well. Then we'll do a quick little recap of those individual names that I talked about this morning, and we'll be ready to go. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead, pass over to Beth, and then we'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Beth, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Thank you, my friend. Okay. There we go. Wow. We had an election, right? Yesterday. We'll talk about that. We've got the FOMC. We'll talk about that. It's all about the taper, you know about that, and the PCE, yada, yada, yada. We'll look at that. We'll look at the embedded text, the changes, and off we go. All right, my friends, let's talk. We did have another build on the crude side, API. Don't forget, we were having shortages. It's actually fascinating because there's an article out this morning talking about on the toy side, the concern is that they're going to have, once the bottleneck stops, going to have too much inventory. I know, we'll see. Okay, kicks in, services PMI, China. Okay, fine, whatever. Indonesia, India, we'll see. Marquee PMI, 50. Oh my goodness gracious. This Indian market is amazing. All right, Lagarde is speaking, yada, yada, yada. What do we have this morning? Pre-market, not much. MBA mortgage stuff. And then we have ADP employment change. This is gonna be interesting, right? So at 9:30 this morning, you have to pay attention. Well, you should be paying attention to this Treasury refunding announcement. This is a big deal because the question is going to be on the same side, whether the Treasury is going to do some tapering or whether this Treasury is going to continue to do quantitative easing. Right? It's a separate issue. We have to pay attention. The market will tell us based off of interest rates. Okay. We do have the market, but it's the final one. Right? Factory orders. Let's see. Not robust. So it's been sloppy choppy, right? ISM non-manufacturing EIA. That's why a lot of these, and this is also why the different feds in the different sectors they're in, they're not doing forecasting anymore. They were doing this nowcast GDP stuff. They were doing all these different nowcasts in terms of the market. They've stopped it because the data is all over the place. Notable, right? Okay, let's take a peek. Youngkin. All right, so why am I actually excited about this dude? Because we finally have someone who's a moderate like Mitt Romney in the Republican Party. Thank God. Hey, look, I'm an independent. I don't care. I really don't care. But I'm a moderate and an institutionalist. So this is a good thing. I don't have any problem with that. Okay, here we go. PCE, we talked about this before. They look at the trim. All right, 1 month is really high. But they did say, right, quote unquote, that they would like run a little bit hot, right? What does that mean? No idea. For September, it's 3.1. And if you look in terms of the 12-month PCE, this is the one that they'll look at, okay? 2.3. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Here's the statement from the Wall Street Journal. What they do is they cross out what was the previous FOMC minutes. And then you see here the statement that's put out. And then you see here the green is new. LFG, let's do it. All right, no idea. I agree. Okay, whatever. Oh my goodness, look at this. Jimbo's pointing that baseball bat to the outfield saying buy, buy, buy any dip. He's right. I mean, BTFD. Look, you know, certain stocks are coming down 10, 15%. Some of it's just, you know, profit taking, but if it's a macro issue, then that's it. But it also comes down to valuation. A lot of these mega cap big tech names are actually getting relatively cheaper valuations to look at. Anybody who tells you, they know what the hell's going to happen is a liar. China's economy faces new downward pressure. Not good. There is a disconnect, and we've talked about it, right? The disconnect is with their internals, them revaluing their currency as well as raising their rates. That's a disconnect, right? The data, of course, where the Fed will have it say today, the drill. This is interesting. Fed nominees coming fairly quickly. Okay. He'd be, well, I shouldn't say crazy, but CDC recommends Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine in young children. Well, we know that Yellen wants Powell, right? So see how that plays out. Supply chain snags are starting to ease, warehouse operator says, but they're worried about now surpluses. Did you? Oh, I didn't know this. Coal prices claw back after Beijing signals pacing of down price drive. U.S. toy maker, talked to you about this. Glut. This is sloppy choppy. This is going to be, and that's okay. All right. Why are the consumer staples such a wonderful place to be? Because they can pass on their prices so quickly. Mondelez is now saying snack prices to rise further as costs grow. I'm just saying. This is absolutely, if you know the history in terms of the labor movement, which I do know, I agree. Why? Well, look what's going on with Deere, right? They're not sitting down. They just want the sun and the moon and everything that goes with it. Obviously, this is a tailwind for higher inflation, right? Because if the worker's making more, they're going to spend more, prices go up, the drill. Okay. Baba. Also Baidu and JD. Okay. All right. Let's talk about it. Did you notice it? All right. Here's the earnings count. We have a lot of good revisions and surprises, right? But we also have a lot of not so good stuff going on here. So this looks like it's like 50-50 right now. The market will take care of that issue. So here's the downgrades, right? Is anyone surprised that CAR is on it? And that Zillow Group is on it? Right? Crazy, right? And then on the upgrade, you see that Baidu, Baba, right? PDD, Pandora. So BK. It's very interesting. Well, let's see what our top dogs and dogettes have to say. John Walsh, Credit Suisse, Double D. I actually saw some very unusual option flows yesterday. I did follow it. This is the first time I've actually followed Double D, DuPont. We'll see how it plays. Shack Attack, right? That's it. You can see here, MGNX, Halo, Co, Deutsche Bank, Clorox. Interesting. Okay, so, we got to look at this, right? Short interest, 27.41%. Can anyone say, squeeze me? They'll say, I'm fascinated to see what Spartan has to say. I took a third of the profits. I'm absolutely positively kicking myself. I had 16 calls on, and I rolled them up to 20s, but I did add 22s. Well, anyways, just saying, it's never good enough, right? That's what always happens. Either you leave too much on the table, or you didn't. Well, anyways. Okay, this is really exciting. And the reason why I'm excited about this is finally Option Sonar is accurately showing these meme stocks. Okay, Tesla, AMD, Apple, NVIDIA, they had not been listing these. They were, in terms of options, top dogs, right? And in terms of equity, not so much, except for OCG. And I have no idea what the hell to do with this. I look at it every day and I said, why didn't I do this? And I don't do it. Novavax, very interesting, right? On an average volume, right? So we'll see. Pretty cool. All right. What's getting hyped this morning? Well, you got it. Bed Bath & Beyond top score 6 AMD, CRSR, GME, Mara, NVIDIA, Pfizer, Sava, UA, and BMW. This was a shout out from one of our members yesterday. But we look at fives and up, and that's telling us what's going to be on tap this morning. Hey, let's see what our flow did yesterday. It actually turned out to be 80% versus 20%. Most of the day it was like 70, 71%. And then towards the end, things started to get a little interesting. Okay, we're still seeing QQQ, IWM, and SPY puts being bought, right? Let's see what this looks like in terms of here we go. Yesterday, Tesla, HLT, Hilton, one order, CS. I was so looking at C, doing puts on it. Oh my God. I got distracted and catch it. All right, so let's see what happened yesterday in terms of the sectors that we like to go over. Right. Green, 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 except you got it. XLY, which is Tesla and Amazon, right? Energy as well. Yeah, but you know, who cares? It's year to date. Good Lord. Right? Come on. All right. Let's take a BQ. Investor cycles back to risk on mode. Yeah, no, right? Risk off to fully on. Look how fast it happened too. What does this mean? Modestly bullish, sloppy choppy, and then as you go 2, 3, 6 in 1 year, more robust. Okay, near higher to even higher prices. Okay, so this is this momentum idea, right? Look at this. Look at this. 6 months to 1 year, 88%, 6.2%, 87%. If we could be, well, you know the drill. If we could be right? 87% of the time, we'd be living in Puerto Rico with Robert. Okay, let's talk. Biotech, sweet spot. This should not be anything unusual, but this is when you want to be in biotech. Look at this. November, it is the strongest trading month of the year. Baby bios, and we're seeing that play out. Largest total option volume, guess what? XBI. And I know that it was shouted out yesterday about XBI in terms of me looking at a spread. So just say, one of our members knows how I like to think, see things, right? So we'll see. I do have to do a shout out to Neil and one of our members. He brought BBBY to my attention while I was on the mic, and I really appreciate that. This is the fact. This is what a community is all about. You know, watching each other, giving ideas, pointing out stuff. You know, that's what we're all about here. Okay, let's take a peek. Risk on, risk off indicator. Well, we know that it's on the risk on, right? So let's look at risk appetite index. This is fascinating because you would think it would be at the upper quadrant, and it's not. So this is kind of like a divergence because this says the up volume ratio, right? It's not up here, it's down. Excess optimism, okay, I can give it that. Dumb money, confidence, whatever. Fear and greed, this is broken. I can tell you right now, this is broken, whatever. I mean, look at what it did while it was going up all that time. It was down here, now it's going up. Please, this is fear and greed is broken. Now, this is also interesting. This is a risk appetite, right? This is a divergence, right? Because it's making lower highs. So this is a red flag, right? Here's a stock bond ratio. This is also a red flag. Conference board, how low can it go? So these are the conference board stocks. Analyst price changes. This is all of this. If you look at it in its totality, even though it feels like the market is super bulled up, all of these little components are saying either we're going to roll over and have a big decline, or we got this massive tailwind go forward. Because of the time of year it is, I'm going to say massive tailwind to go forward. All right, let's do it. Let's move on. Okay, seasonality, you see next couple days, sloppy choppy. And then next week is really more on the bearish side, right? Not a whole hell of a lot, but and then you get, once we get through next week, and we know this to be true, I showed you all the seasonality of all the different stocks. This is the sweet spot. Mid-November, out. That's what we want to do. I'm sorry. This is what? There we go. Sorry, I had the longest season in November. I apologize. Never mind. Just buy. I don't know why they didn't update though. Anyways, okay, what do we got in terms of bonds? Pessimistic, right? A lot of neutral, which we love to see, and what was extremely red, which was cotton, is now rosy red, right? Natural gas. This is a great optimism tape. Now, if we look in terms of the heat map, we get some, be careful with block. That would be Mara, that would be overstock, that, you know, just be careful with them because this can't continue to stay up here for too much longer, right? Pakistan, XBI, lots of green coming in. You know, look at the different countries, right? The XX, it's not low enough. It has to be really dark green. But look at this, the 5-year. Wow. Here's our breath, a little bit negative, right? And here's our, look at this. Will you look at this? Yesterday, out of the Qs, 24. This is a lot for the Qs on this fund flow. Where did it go? Not LQD. So what's this telling us? That the chips are taken off the table. There's some profit taking coming in. Okay, what do we got? Bonds, yields up across the board, except in the UK. Right, let's see what's going on here. 5-year, I continue to say, is our taper sweet spot right here. It continues to hold up. It's pulling back a little bit. This is going to be, what's going to probably happen is you're going to have one of these really funky candles with crazy up and down. We'll see. The bonds will tell us which way to go. And here you can see the 530. It's still staying up here. This is notable in terms of the flattening of the curve, right? Here's the 10-year. As you can see, it's not as bid up as the 5-year is, and that's because the 5-year is the, oh, you'll get the juice on that. All right, so here's the 1030 double bottom here. Okay, so this is telling us, right, that this 1030 spread, it should widen out. It's the yield curve. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll just let, like I said, we'll just let the market do it. Triple top, German rates, German 10-year, US still in the mid. Right. All right, this is still a fascinating setup here. What's going on here? Right. So the yield, they're always starting to lower their rates, right? But we're not, and then, but to be honest with you, it should be down here. That's where it should be. I think the Central Bank of China is just not, I think they're in over their heads. That's what I'm saying right now. Let's look at the dollar. This is important, right? The dollar is flagging. My issue is and has been that everybody's saying, oh, it's going high, it's going high. That's not how it works with commodities. The commodities work when, you know, you get a FOMO type event because the people are either not long or short. And that's the FIFO. You want to be first one in, first one out. I'm just sitting on my hands here. But this obviously doesn't pack gold and, you know, commodities, etc. Now, here we go. Here's the Chinese yuan. This is actually being revalued. It has an H. Now, the reason why this is happening should be understandable is because of foreign direct investments. They do not want to have basically lower interest rates in a weakening currency. It's manipulation. I don't know what's going to happen here, but let's see. Okay, let's go to our commodities quickly. CRB still hanging in there, but it's not holding last month's high. So that's a red flag, okay? And that would be crude. So crude is starting to come back down. This is where the key support comes in, right? Right here. Whoop. I think we're gonna come all the way back down. So 80.58 is the pivot for me right now on the futures, crude. XLE, you can see, it actually is holding up okay. All right, but you can see that this is, you know, there we go. you can see that this is the upper quadrant. So you want to buy down here. You don't want to buy at the upper unless it holds above it. That's the hardest thing for especially new traders to do, is be patient for confirmation. I mean, because there's that FOMO, oh, I'm missing it, right? So we get a little bit bounce of the OIH against the XLE. I don't know if it can do too much, to be honest with you. I mean, there are issues in terms of the OIH. I'm still in my Schlumberger, but we'll see, okay? Here's OIH, you can see it's trying to curl up here, right? I don't know, we'll see. All right, here's natural gas, still consolidative. You can see here. Here's USO, natural gas. So this is actually when it's starting to go down again. So this is actually bearish for crude, right? Money rotation out of crude into natural gas. And that's exactly what it would be. All right, nothing here until later on. All right, let's go. Let's take a look at our cryptos. All right. You have to make sure this is up to date. It is not. Ethereum, all-time highs, Solana, whatever. Okay, here's Ethereum. Still grinding higher. I love this. And you know my narrative on this. My narrative has been and continues to be, you want to be long Ethereum against Bitcoin. And you can see here that it's starting to get its jiggy going on. I think this is going to break this time. It needs to break this time down, okay? So within the next couple of weeks, I would expect this, and then we start the next leg down, which would be super cool for us. Because if you look at this, I mean, it's got some serious, well, I'll do the fibs later, but if you look at the fibs, it has room to go down, okay? All right, Bitcoin, consolidative, rebuffed at this top, yada, yada. But it is holding the pivot, which is a 78.6%. 58,165 continues to be what's important. All right, let's take a look at some of the indices. DAX, here we go. Trying to break out, hasn't yet. Fez, trying to break out, hasn't yet. Shanghai Composite, breaking down, notable. But it is into the 50 EMA on the weekly, notable. FXI, consolidative, not looking great. KWeb, still holding on, my friends, notable. Okay. Here's A-shares. This is going to be a problem because it's financials. CQQQ, consolidative. Bobalicious, barely hanging in, but it's hanging in. All right, so last week's low is the pivot. Let's see how that plays out. Qs against the CQQQ, watch this. This will be incredibly bullish for our market. Baba CQQs rolling over. Let's see if it can start to curl up again. All right, Baba KWeb, double top. Baba FXI, looking to break down. So the narrative is, in order for the Chinese in back picture, Baba has to be strong bid. That's the note. All right, here's the VXN. You know this is a conundrum for me. All right, it's still a conundrum. Here's FANG, barely hanging on there on the extension breakout. Here's the growth value SP on the SPY. This is fascinating because the growth basically didn't take out this high. Okay, really interesting. My time is up, my friends. Welcome. Pre-market here, live YouTube stream. It's time for me to pass it on to Spartan. Are you ready, sir?
Just need about 1 minute here, Beth, please.
Not a problem. Okay, so this is a huge red flag, inability to break this high right here on a monthly, notable, okay? Here's the SPY and it's up itself, holding this extension, looks pretty good, all right? I think it has room up to here, which is 483. So we're doing a deep dive. SPYs against QQQ, consolidative. This is the fascinating thing. It is not your imagination. The SPY has, weakened a little bit, but it's holding its own right now against the Qs. All right, SPY diamond. This is fascinating. This is a huge red flag for the market because, or basically, the Dow's going to break out. I don't know. SPY IWM. SPY has been doing this. It's flagging. You know my narrative. This is the seasonality for IWM, small caps, low floats. SPY against XRT. Let's see if it falls over. I want to see XRT, right? You know, I want to see the transports. These are the things I want to see. Healthcare. These are the things I want to see lead this next leg up. And that gives us breadth, small caps, low floats, etc. Okay. So as you can see here, the transports have been outperforming since this low right here in September. Let's see if it can continue on. But it is getting rebuffed at this downtrend line. And this is why you look at the weekly, monthly charts. It gives you a narrative as to where you want to be, but also in terms of, you know, ideas of different ETFs or whatever. Here's SPY XLV, where you can see here, the SPY got rebuffed last month. Inside candle, I want to see the XLV starting to lead, right? Here's XLY against the SPY. SPY has been losing, obviously because of Tesla, and more Tesla, right? I mean, Amazon isn't doing it. Here's SPY XLV, SPY XLK. All right, so the XLK has been gaining against the SPY. The problem is now, this is a monthly. We got a 1, 2, 3. We got a quadruple top now. Well, actually 4, 5. Okay, this is a big extension that has to be taken out. So until this happens, you got to be careful. What is this? This is Apple. This is Microsoft. This is the fintech. You know, just be careful. All right. All right. Here's SPY XLC. So you can see that the SPY. What is this? Well, this is Facebook. Right. Top dogs. 40% of XLC is Facebook and Google, but this is really Facebook. All right. It's in the upper quadrant. I want to see it start to head lower. So what would that mean? That would mean that Google and Facebook are getting the jiggy going on again. Here's XBI, the biotech ETF, has been weakening against SPY since February. Notable. Like I say, I want to see this start to curl up. I want to see the baby bios. I want to see the large cap on the bio side. I want to see this start to regain. All right. Here's a new one I wanted to show you. This is the pharmaceutical ETF. All right. It's a new one. Isn't that a pretty looking chart? Just wish it's a giggle since I have some time. Let's see what's in it. Because for me, it's knowing about all the different components, right? IAG. All right, so let's see what it's got. J&J, Pfizer, Merck. So, oh, wow, this is really pretty cool, actually. So this is all J&J. Fascinating. And Pfizer. Okay, cool. You can see here, right? Very cool. So you can see that it broke the downtrend line here on the weekly. Notable. Right? So it's starting to break out. Let's see if it can hold this. Right? That's pretty cool. Right? I want to talk about, this on a daily, something that's really nagging, and I continue to talk about this, is this low volume. I really, 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 really hate when all-time highs are made on low volume. Okay, so here's the S&P. It also has low volume coming in.
All right, Beth, I'm ready to pop on.
All right, my friend. Okay, guys, have fun.
Ready, guys? What's up? What's going on? Let me just pop up the screen share here. There we go. So what is going on? Let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. A couple different things. If you're new to chat, make sure to click the Discord link that's emailed to you. Once you do come into Discord, it's going to look like this. I'm not going to go through this right now. I'll go through it later on, but go through the new to chat information section. Click on it. Give it a read from top to bottom. That's all the information you would need to know when you do come into chat for now. Also, click on the disclaimer section. Give that a read as well. And let's kind of just dive in. So pre-market tickers on watch, guys. A couple different things that we're looking at today. Car Race, IRTC, Geico's, Lyft, and BBBY. So one thing to note, guys, on BBBY right now, I did short the equivalent amount of equity against my calls to box in the profits for now, because obviously, it's pulling back a little bit. So if it starts to bounce, I'll take it off. But for now, that's what I'm doing, just to make sure I'm, locking in what I'm going to be, or locking in a bunch of the profits that gapped up on. So we'll see what happens. You can do that if you are holding the calls. It's always an offer. There's always a idea for you. All right, let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. Car Race, IRTC, Geico's, Lyft, BBB, buy. So car gapping down slightly after last day's large squeeze to the upside. Race, earnings beat, EPS and revs, year-over-year growth, 19.6%. 2021 guidance raised, IRTC, iRhythm, and Glycos surge after the update on Medicare reimbursement rates. So Glycos is up as well. And then Lyft, earnings beat, EPS and revs, slight beat, year-over-year growth, 73%. Q4 guidance lowered slightly, stocks gapping up. And then Bed Bath & Beyond, obviously gapping up after that Kroger deal, as well as a digital shift and that $1 billion buyback. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. So first two we're going to be looking at today, guys, are car and race. So car, let's take a look at here. So let's go back all the way. Let's go back for this. Let's see if we can get to it. I gotta go back 10 years. All right, let's use some of these old levels here first. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday. There she is. Okay, looking good. I'm actually going to move this level just down slightly. It's right there. Lines up with the hourly. Actually lines up with the fib, that 360 area. That's perfect. Okay. So what do we got going on card today, guys? So a little bit of a pullback, obviously, after last day's move. Still holding within the range, though. It was basically consolidating all day, which I think is still quite impressive. 308.45 is going to be the pivot. This level is able to hold. We do have room back into the, where's that 460? We do have room back into the 274.20. That level breaks 236.72, and then we got 193 on the downside. Able to hold the pivot, look for pullback towards, or push back towards 358.21 to 415.73. This actually should be 416, which is the recent or the previous all-time high range breakout area. So pivot's gonna be major level today. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what happens. If it does hold up, I do think we can continue to squeeze to the upside. It is doing a pretty good job of consolidation on the intraday chart, but again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Pivot's gonna be a major level right out the gate. Let's take a look at, so I'm gonna be leaning bullish neutral on it today, actually. Let's take a look at race. So race, nice little breakout to all-time highs on those earnings. Yeah. Let's see where we got room to today. I do an old term fib. Might be a little bit too far out, but let's do some short-term ones. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday. $274.46. Okay. Alrighty, so let me just delete these fibs, and we'll rip through this. Okay, so pivot to the upside today, guys, is going to be 258.15. Levels able to hold. 263.70 to 275 essentially will be the next resistance level. Unable to hold the pivot, look for a pullback on race towards 250.71 to 242.86 on the downside. Overall on race, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today. So that is car, that is race. Let's take a look at the next two names. Let's take a screenshot of these. So next two, IRTC and that Geico's. So nice move on that RTC here. Let's see where we got room to today. See my previous levels on it. That's what I'll do. So we're about $99 a share. Okay, so we're pretty much back to this range here. All right, let's take a look at this thing today. All right, so pivot to the upside today, 94.43 levels able to hold, 99.53 to 104.34 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 90.24 to 84.90 on the downside. Overall on IRTC, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation higher. A lot of these names that are beaten down and gapping or pushing into their gaps tend to get some solid continuation as of late. So if we can hold above that 94.43 level, aka the pivot, I do think we can see some nice continuation to the upside today. Geico's right off the lows as well. I love these types of charts. Tons of room. Always nice to chart out as well from a technical perspective. A little bit easier. Very defined levels. Like it. All right, let's take a look at this thing intraday. So coming off the lows, 54.76 pivot, levels able to hold, room towards 57.87. If that level breaks, we can see further continuation into the, oh, looks like I won't be able to see it. Let's see. Look at the daily real quick. Further continuation into the 60.16. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 52.07 to the 49.28 level of support on the downside. Overall on Geico's, going to be leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push to the upside today. That's IRTC, and that is a Geico's. All right, let's take a look at the next two. I'm leaning bullish, neutral on both, by the way. Let's take a look at the next two, Lyft and BBBY. So Lyft, Bed Bath & Beyond. Let's take a gander. So Lyft obviously gapping up. Let's see what we got room to today. Let's see what we got room to here today. So stocks gapping up on Lyft, 51.50 a share. Let's see what we got room to today. So basically right above that 50 MA for now. All right, 50.89 pivot levels able to hold 52.63, 54.74 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 49.59 to 48.16 on the downside. Overall, on Lyft's going to be leaning bullish neutral, looking for a continuation push to the upside today if that pivot point can hold. AKA, we hold the 50 MA, we should see continuation to the upside. All right, let's take a look at Bed Bath & Beyond. Now this is an interesting chart. All righty, so obviously our calls are going to be up nicely today. Nice thing about those calls too, guys, is we got time with them. They are longer dated, so let's see what happens. We can hold them for a little bit longer. But November calls, we do have some time. Pivot to the upside today, 24.42. Levels able to hold, 27.05. The 30.01 will be tested. Unable to hold on Bed Bath & Beyond. We look for continuation lower to 22.20 to 19.66 on the downside. Overall on Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm going to be leaning bullish neutral only if the pivot can hold. It is obviously testing right now. If that starts to come in, most likely it's going to start to, I think, fill the gap. So We'll see what happens there. We'll see how much of that car hype's left today. It doesn't seem like there's much. Unless that name starts to squeeze, then I think we could see some, sympathy kind of go into Bed Bath & Beyond as well. But as quickly as it came, the hype is dying down quite a bit. But we'll have to keep an eye on car as well this morning. I think that's an important thing to note. All right, so that's Lyft. That's Bed Bath & Beyond, guys. Let's take a look at this final thing. So market obviously gapping down a little bit here. Pretty much flat though. I mean, realistically, it doesn't move much. I'm going to go into the intraday. Looks like we'll probably have an inside day on the market, in my opinion. I hate that stupid misprint candle. All right, so pivot today is going to be 461.43. 462.94. Just gonna label that last day fib high. 461.43 pivot, unable to hold. We got room towards 460.68 to 460.07. Able to hold 462.22 to 462.95 will be tested on the upside. Overall in the market today, going to be leaning a little bit on the bearish neutral side today, looking for it to come in within the range and then bounce back off of it to the upside. I don't think you're gonna get like a sell off or anything like that today. It's just we're trading within the range, and I think it's gonna be more of an inside kind of grinder day after we pull back this morning. Back to the upside, in my opinion. We'll see though. That can change. We could easily take out last day's highs and get continuation. Main thing will be just watch the pivot. That's going to be the key level to keep an eye on. All right, let's take a look at Apple. Rest of the FANG here. Apple pivot to the upside today is going to be the 149.99 levels able to hold. They got room towards 151.14. 151.91 on the upside will be tested after that. Unable to hold 149.05 to 148. Sorry. Yeah, 148.09 on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leading bullish neutral. Looking for a continuation grind higher. Still looks good. Looks like it wants to fill that gap from earnings on the upside. So we'll see if it's able to do so today if we continue to grind higher. Let's take a look at Amazon. Pivot to the upside today is going to be the same levels yesterday's almost. 33.20 levels able to hold. You got room towards 33.41 to 33.63. Unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards the 32.90 to 32.56 on the downside. Overall on Amazon, right now I'm going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. It is holding the bottom of the range from its earnings. Watch the pivot. If the pivot is unable to hold, then obviously we'll retest the bottom of that range. But for now, it's holding up okay. So that's decent looking. All right, that's Amazon. Let's take a look at Netflix. All right, pivot on Netflix today, guys, is going to be this level right here. 675.68 levels able to hold, room back towards 690.67. Unable to hold, we look for a pullback towards 660.75 on the downside. Going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side of Netflix today. I think it needs to pull back slightly. It's had a hell of a run. Yeah, see what happens. Pivot's going to be the key level that we keep an eye on today, of course. So we'll see what happens there, guys. And then last but not least, Facebook, Google. Watch Future, guys, a little bit of a $300 million buyback there. A bit of a pop. All right, Facebook 329.16 level hold, 333.88. Unable to hold 324.50. Will be tested on the downside. Still stuck within this range on the hourly. I think it's holding up okay. Going to be leaning on the bullish neutral side today. Looking for a reclaim of that pivot, which is at 329 level, and a grind higher. Would be a truly bullish neutral name, where I think it will only just grind. All right, let's take a look at Google. Keep an eye on Tiger as well off the lows, guys. It will move in sympathy with that future. All right, Google pivot upside today is going to be the last day's high, which is the 29.31.51 area. Level holds room towards 29.70. Sorry, yeah, 29.72. Unable to hold 28.74 on the downside will be tested. Leaning bullish neutral on Google. Stuck within its range right now. It will grind within this range, I think, to the top of it because it tested the bottom and it held yesterday. So that's what I'll be looking for there. Let's take a look at the IWM. Fib from yesterday, which was what? $22.36.57 area. That's fine. So 234.51 IWM holds room towards 236.53. Unable to hold 232.36 will be tested on the downside. Going to be leaning bullish neutral on that. If the pivot can be reclaimed, still looks okay in my opinion. So that's IWM. Let's take a look at the VIX. And then we'll do the Qs lastly. So VIX pivot upside, still around that 1660 level. Levels able to hold 1752, unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 1550 on the downside. Looks like we may retest that pivot out the gate. So we'll be watching that on the VIX. Keep an eye on the EMA, basically support intraday. Reclaims, holds. Obviously, we get a little bit of a continuation push higher. Market would come in a little bit. And then inversely, if it breaks, you would think the market would push. All right, last but not least, guys, QQQ. So pivot to the upside today on the Qs. We do have last day's high. Nice little movement, stair stepping higher here on the Qs. Been quite bullish as of late. Let's do this. Give us a little bit of a Fibonacci extension from last day as well. So we get above 389.58. We got room towards 391.22. Able to or unable to hold. We look for a pullback towards 386.83 on the downside. Overall on the Qs, leaning bullish, looking for a continuation push higher today. So that's a SPY. That's the thing. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. We'll see what happens. Should be a pretty interesting day. And yeah, we got kind of blessed with that BBBYW or BBBY BBBBY gift overnight. So see what happens there. Anyways, that's it, guys. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to South Beach for a little bit, and I'll come on back on after we're done. We'll do a quick recap. South Beach, if you're ready, it's all yours.
Hey, guys. Okay. Hump day. Let's see what we got. First, we got the Republicans kicking ass today. I guess that's, listen, I always like no action in Washington. So the more divided it is, I think the better it is for equities anyway. Let's talk about, because that's what we're here for. So let's look at the bond market first. Let's see what we got. Okay, 10 years dead flat. Okay, 154. Okay, the 5-year up a little bit. Again, curve flattening. All right, so tough sledding for financials in that kind of environment. Okay, and it tells me that all these guys that are coming on TV talking about hyperinflation and all that nonsense. The bond market's telling me it's nonsense for the time being. Okay, and as long as that, I'll listen to the bond market before I listen to anybody. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for that. And we have 2 o'clock Fed meeting. Listen, I have no idea. Sorry about the dog, guys. I have no idea what they're going to say, but there's usually some sort of fireworks. Okay, and the first move invariably is the wrong move. Okay, take it for what it's worth. Years and years of experience. That's the way it works. Okay, the 10-year in Britain is up a little bit. It's 1.06. They've had a pretty hefty move there. Flat in Germany, 10 years at minus 0.17. France, let's see what else. Japan, nothing. So yields are kind of staying really in this tight range all of a sudden. And we'll see how it works out, okay? You had China overnight talking about muted growth in their economy. And when you're the second biggest economy in the world, it'll have an effect on everybody else. So maybe that's the reason that the yield curve is flattening. Okay, I think that would be a pretty good reason, actually, the more I think about it. Let's see what else is going on today. Let's look at commodities. So you got oil. This is pretty big down for what we've seen lately. I don't remember seeing it down over 2% day in the recent past. And so, listen, the move is spectacular. It is still in a bull phase, but we'll see. Okay, so these oil stocks are down a little bit this morning. Be careful with shorts, contra trading. Okay, natural gas hanging in there, 555. High was what, 650, low was 2 and change, so pretty good move there. Copper hanging out, not doing much, 440. Lumber heading back down, and some of these agricultural commodities are staying strong for the most part, cotton, coffee, etc., etc. Okay. Dollars up against North America, down against the yen, down a little bit against the Chinese currency, and the euro's pegged at 115-ish. Okay, so not a lot of movement there, which is good for companies, right? They can easily plan and whatever they do. Bitcoin is down almost 2%. Ethereum's flat. Great move there. Super bull phase in the crypto world. So I go through this, guys, kind of because I want to game the market a little bit. And I think the best way to do it is just see what's going on out there. And that's why I go over this every morning, in case you're wondering. FTSE's flat, down 30 points. DAX is flat as a pancake. Nikkei down 0.5%. China flat. Hong Kong flattish. Okay, so that's what you got. I think all eyes will be on the Fed today at 2 o'clock. We'll see what they have to say. We talked about the election, that who knows what's going to be going forward with that. They're trying to pass that spending bill. If they do, it'll be muted, which is pretty good. And I guess taxes will be raised a little less than if they had a big bill, right? China, we discussed that letter that it was Lee, who was the #2 guy in China, talking about it, about muted growth. So I think that, that makes sense with the bond market, actually. Crypto, we discussed. Oil market, we discussed. The virus, it's raising its ugly head in China, unfortunately. Here it seems to be a little less pervasive every day, and hopefully that'll continue. The dollar, we discussed. Mr. Market yesterday, we had the cyclicals up, semis up, hotels were up. On the downside, we had solar, EVs. What else was negative yesterday? Gambling stocks. That's basically it. Yesterday was an individual stock day for sure. Okay. Not really group rotation. It was, getting involved. I was super busy yesterday, as I'm sure most of you were. I saw something I never ever saw before, and that was the Dow Jones Transport's up 1,000 points. Never, ever, ever. In fact, when I looked it over, I thought it was a mistake. And I went on the web to look it over, and it's the first thing that came up was, no, it's not a mistake, which is pretty incredible. Okay. I mean, out of sight, I never, ever, ever thought I would see that. I don't think I've ever seen a 500-point day in the transports, no less a 1,000-point day. It's just crazy. But that's what we had. Okay. So I would imagine there'll be, where's car today? Down 30. I mean, it's just nuts what's going on, but it's great for trading. That's all I have to say. I was in, Hertz played right into my hand, right? I had most of it out because I thought car ran up into earnings and it would be soft. The stocks opened down because of the Tesla situation. I got to load up and then they went nuts on the upside. So very fortunate, lucky, I would say, lucky. Okay, so that's that. Let's see what else is going on here. Numbers wise, we had Lyft with good numbers. I think these guys are better managers than Uber, to be honest. That was a good number. This Capri, these retailers have been doing pretty well. Capri was good, right? Estee Lauder, if you want to consider that a kind of sort of retailer name. Under Armour was good. I'm seeing, pretty good numbers out of these retailers, and most of them don't report for a while. So I'm positively inclined to look at this group, that way. I'm still long some J-Win from the other day. That's been a straight up affair. But I think the group acts pretty well. And I think probably based on the numbers I'm seeing, the expectations are very low. Okay, so that's positive. I had some of this Bed Bath & Beyond I bought after the close, fortunately. That was nice. I wasn't smart enough to buy it during regular hours, unfortunately, but that's how it goes. What else? So Capri was good, SPT was good, CWH. So that trend continues in the EV, what do they call it? RV, excuse me. Shoe, another retailer, good numbers. Timus was good also. So you had the Bed Bath & Beyond, they had a collaboration with Kroger, and you had a few other things in there, expedited buyback, redefine the business model, etc. RRD got a bump in the takeover. IRTC had positive Medicaid news. FLGC had an acquisition. FUTU, $300 million buyback. That's 300 million out of 9 billion is like a pimple on an elephant's ass. Don't get sucked in because of that buyback. If you like the stock, you like the stock, but I wouldn't let that buyback get you. That's my opinion on that one. On the short side, Zillow Group, okay, RCKY, Tupperware, Activision. I think that's the one that had the problem with the CEO and the sexual harassment or whatever's going on over there. I'm surprised at Humana missing. That'll drag down this group a little bit. That was a surprise. I think UNH reported already, didn't they, guys? I think so. Let's just check. I seem to remember they reported and it wasn't bad. Yeah, they did. Okay, so it's not going to affect the group that much since one was good and one was bad. I think the standout in the earnings, guys, is this Wingstop. Okay, this is a pretty decent chain. And this is why I'm predisposed negatively on the restaurant and food service group, because they have two major factors that contribute to their earnings, right? One is employment costs and one is food costs. And both of those are providing a pretty hefty headwind. I think the fundamentals stack up really crappy for this group. And that's why every chance I get, when they look weak, I basically piss all over them, okay? I try to get short as much as I can. So food costs are up. Twins are saying 200% per pound. And employment, they can't even get employees. So it's kind of sort of like the airline industry when you think about it. Their main things are fuel and employment. And both, you got to look at these companies individually. They're not just numbers on a page or letters on a page. Okay, you got to think, what are the proponents that make this business work? And do they have pricing power? Okay, so, I think the restaurants are just really bad shape. So when I see a guy upgrade, I'll go over the upgrades in a minute. I just think these guys just don't look it. I mean, it's amazing how bad they are. All right, anyway, so Wingstop, enough time on that one. EXAS, another one. Most of these stocks that are missing had crappy charts. Okay, you just look at it across the board, you'll see what I'm talking about. So tonight you have a really huge night for earnings. Okay, tonight and tomorrow morning, probably the biggest of the week and one of the biggest of the quarter. You got Roku, which looks like death, Etsy, Qualcomm, Fizzly, SKLZ, which was just upgraded right in front of earnings. I like when they do that. Take-Two, ET, SunPower, Cake, they should miss. PXD, Fox A, which I've been trading from the short side. ELF, Liberty, I'm curious to how they're doing. TALO, which was just upgraded right before earnings as well. Tomorrow we have that Penn Gaming, Myrna, Viacom, Nikola, Citrix, Bally, Kofax, NTLA. So there's something for everybody. A lot of earnings. You've got to check your positions, guys. What I do is when I write my positions down at night, which I always do, I put the earnings date next to it, so I'm not going to screw up. All right, I want to know. Okay, if you want to play it, that's one thing, but you shouldn't be blindsided. Okay, let's look at research. What do we have? Generac was downgraded to neutral, no big deal there. Zillow, everybody downgrades the stock. Okay, right across the board. Guys, I wouldn't touch this stock with a 10-foot pole. Management needs to go. Okay, they made a huge bet on a new business and they got slammed. All right, terrible, terrible, terrible management. And until the management goes, I got no interest in this name at any price. Okay, give me a break. Everybody doubted it when they did it, and now look what happened. Terrible. MQ initiate sell, target 26. That's from some firm I never heard of. Nico, whatever they are. I guess they're Japanese. BBBY downgrade to sell by Loop. This is not a fundamentally driven situation, in my opinion. Activision is downgraded. You know, was pushed down to equal weight in most places. Chart looks crappy. They're in a little bit of a disarray because of the management issues. I think you got to give them a quarter or two to get this shit together, and then we'll take a new visit. The business is not bad, in my opinion. Reiterate the sell in Clorox, DRQ, sell there, target 26 to 21. On the short side, I don't think Bed Bath & Beyond is a situation that is fundamental. Carr outperformed to sell over at JP Morgan. There was another guy that downgraded Carr too, but I don't think that's a fundamental situation either. Oh, it was Deutsche Bank. Raise the target to 210, hold to sell. You know, these things are going to trade like they trade, and these guys have no say. Okay, long side. Let's see what I liked. The lift, they take the target to 95 over at Citibank. I like this DuPont. Okay, I think that acquisition yesterday was brilliant. I think the guy running it is a stud. You know, I love this guy, Ed Breen. I have bet on this guy gazillions of times. Wherever he goes, the guy is a moneymaker. Period. End of story. Okay. They don't get any better than Ed Breen at returns for in the industrial sector anyway. Okay, so skills, I was telling you, initiate buy, target 23. That's out of Citibank, and they report tonight. I think that was a real interesting call. Okay, right in front of numbers. I love that. This one is interesting to me too. It just, they must have done a recap after going out of business. You guys remember WFT, Weatherford? I think this is the reincarnation, WFRD. And outperformed, target 29 to 48. Stocks 28, so lots of room on the upside. My only caveat in this is it's Piper Jaffray, and I'm not a huge fan of these guys' research, but it is interesting, and it's only been trading for a little bit, so interesting in that one. Under Armour, Dana Telsey likes it. I like Dana Telsey a lot. She knows what she's talking about, as does was it Loop? Deutsche Bank. So they have a 36 target. You know, I was on this stock prior to these guys getting on board. Dana Telsey put a 32 target. This stock's got some room on the upside. It may be slow going, but I like the retail sector, and I think the group and this stock in particular. And I think the point of least resistance is turning for these retailers to the upside. Okay. Here's a call that I really don't like. Shack, neutral to buy, target 98. It goes back to what I was saying about this group, right? They got everything going against it. The chart is crummy. Why buy these? Okay. Not yet, anyway. Show me. I'd like one company to show me they can, you know, they could beat earnings, and then maybe I'll change my mind, but not until then. Let's see, anything else? Everybody likes this GPM today. Reiterate the buys, and they reduce targets to like 190 and something like that. This stock chart-wise looks like garbage. Look at it, GPN. It's terrible. I don't know what they're looking at, but what I will do in a case like this is when it gets EMA support, I'll give it another look. All right. In this particular case, it looks like Niagara Falls, the guy going over the cliff in the barrel. But so I don't know why all these guys like the stock, but there's like 4 or 5 of them that do. All right. Barclays initiated some of these Chinese stocks with buys. Baidu target 243, JD target 82. Outperforms, I should say, not buys. Baba 275, Tencent 84. The only one of the big names that they had a neutral on was just PDD. Any other research worthwhile here? Not really. Okay, Kathy, she bought some letter Z. I think she's smoking something. She bought some DraftKings, PAC-B, TWOU. She's buying Hood. I do not like that name. And she keeps buying this Path, which looks like the worm is turning, starting to act a little better. Okay, and the chart's getting better. So this is something to keep an eye on, in my opinion. Syndicate-wise, we have this Allbirds coming today. I'm sure all of you know their shoes. Now they're going into clothing. 20 million priced at 15. The indication was 12 to 14. This is the best one of the day. It could be decent. So I think this one is worthwhile. And there's two other IPOs not worth talking about. And there's one secondary. And for tomorrow and Friday, we have 12 IPOs and 2 secondaries coming. So that's that. I think the market will just kind of churn. You know, you'll have stocks at work. You know, it'll be decent trading, but 2 o'clock, everybody's going to wait and see what's going to go on with that. Okay. So first move is usually the wrong move. Don't trade the second these numbers come out. Just hang tight. I would reduce my size. You know, by 2 o'clock, you should be down to, you know, minimal positions, and let's see what the man has to say. Okay. We also need to hear if he's going to get an extension in his contract for another 4 years. That'll be important. But Biden said that news is coming soon. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, that's it. I think it's an individual name kind of day. And I think trading will be a little, as we get to 2 o'clock, trading will start to slow down a little bit. All right. So that's it for me. I'll give it back to Spartan, and it's all yours, buddy.
All righty. Thank you, South Beach. Guys, morning. What's going on? Let's take a quick look at what we got going on today. A couple different things. If you guys are new to chat, make sure to click on the Discord link. That's there when you guys do come in. When you guys do come to chat, it's going to look like this. First area to go to when you do come in is this new to chat information section. We'll go through that in a little bit. And then the disclaimer section there as well. Let's take a look at what we got going on today, guys. Pre-market tickers on watch, a couple different things. Everything's posted. If you guys are watching the YouTube stream, you can simply just pause it and read the action plan here. As you can see, all the charts are posted. Option side, oh, not posted just yet, but when it is, I'll show you. All right, pre-market tickers on watch. What do we got going on? Car, Race, IRTC, Geico's, Lyft, BBBY. Car gapping down slightly after last day's large squeeze to the upside. Race earnings beat EPS and revs, year-over-year growth 19.6%, 2021 guidance raised, stocks gapping up on that. IRTC, Geico's, both of them are surge after updates on Medicare reimbursement dates. Lyft earnings beat EPS and rev, slight beat, year-over-year growth 73%. Q4 guidance lowered slightly, but stocks gapping up. Was pretty much sold off into earnings for the most part, pretty big time. And then Bed Bath & Beyond surges 8% on Kroger deal, digital shift, and $1 billion buyback. So stock is gapping up on that. Let's take a look at these names from a technical standpoint intraday. First two we are looking at are, first two we're looking at today are car and race. So car race, let's take a look. Car. So 308.45 on car pivot, level holds 358.21 to 416.73 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback towards 274.20 to 236.72 on the downside. Overall car going to be leaning bullish neutral as long as that pivot can hold. I think we can get a little bit of another push to the upside, but we'll see what happens there. Race pivot 258.15 level holds, room towards 263.70. That level breaks, 275 will be tested. Unable to hold, 250.71 to 242.86. Going to be leaning bullish on race, looking for continuation higher today. Let's take a look at IRTC. Let's take a look at Geico's. IRTC pivot 94.43 level holds 98.53 to 104.34. Unable to hold, 90.24 to 84.90 on the downside will be tested. Over on IRTC, leaning bullish, looking for continuation higher today. Bullish neutral, I should say. Geico, same thing, 54.76 pivot, level holds 57.87 to 60.16. Unable to hold, 52.07 to 49.28 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at the next two, Lyft and Bed Bath & Beyond. All these names have the same ticker symbols. Lyft, similar, 50.89 pivot, level holds 52.63 to 54.74. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 49.59 to 48.19 on the downside. Overall on Lyft, leaning bullish, neutral, looking for a continuation grind higher. Like the daily chart, I think we see continuation higher, and we're back above the 50 MA on the daily as well, which is important. Bed Bath & Beyond 24.42 pivot, level holds 27.05 to 30.01 will be tested. Unable to hold, look for a pullback to 22.20 to 19.66 on the downside. Overall leaning bullish neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at the SPY and Pay. So SPY pivot to the upside today is going to be the 461. SPY pivot 461.43. So pivot to the downside actually. Unable to hold. Room lower into the 460.68 support. Breaks. We see the 460.07 tested. Pivot holds. Room higher into the 462.22. Breaks, we see the 460.295 tested. And then going to be leaning on the bearish neutral side today. So basically looking for a little bit of a pull within the range. And I think we will stay within the range inside day, then curl back to the upside. Well, until, FOMC reports, right? I think we get a little bit of a pullback within the range and then FOMC, right? So that's the SPY. Let's take a look at Apple. Apple pivot upside today, 149.99, level holds 151.14 to 151.91 will be tested. Unable to hold 149.05 to 148.09 on the downside. Overall on Apple, going to be leaning bullish neutral today, looking for a continuation push higher if that pivot point can't hold. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon pivot to the upside today, 33.20, level holds. Room to 33.41 to 33.63, unable to hold 32.90 on the downside, leaning bullish neutral on Amazon today. Let's take a look at Netflix. Pivot upside is going to be the, oops, there we go. Pivot to the upside is going to be the 675.68, unable to hold, room towards 660.75, able to hold 690.67, leaning bearish neutral on Netflix, looking for continuation lower today. Let's take a look at Facebook. Pivot 329.16 level holds. You got room towards 333.88. Unable to hold 324.50 to 319.71 on the downside. Leaning bullish neutral on Facebook today. I want to see it grind higher if we can reclaim that 329 pivot. Google pivot upside today is going to be the 29.31.51 level holds. Room towards 29.72.43. Unable to hold 28.74.80 on the downside will be tested. Leaning bullish neutral on that name as well. Let's take a look at the VIX, Qs, IWM. VIX pivot, same as yesterday, 1660, level holds, room towards 1752, unable to hold 1550. Keep an eye on whether or not it reclaims the EMA support today. That's going to be the most important factor, intraday at least. QQQs, 389.58, pivot, levels able to hold. You got room towards the 391.24, unable to hold 386.83 on the downside will be tested. Actually going to be leaning bullish neutral on the Qs today. They look better than the SPY. And then IWM, 234.51 pivot, levels able to hold. You get room towards 236.53, unable to hold 232.36 on the downside will be tested. Leaning bullish neutral on that name as well. All right, so that's a SPY, that's a FANG. Those are the individual names that we're looking at today, guys. If you're joining us on the YouTube stream today, thanks for watching. We do this every single Wednesday.